My name is William from 222 Productions, and I am here to talk to you about the American Ninja Warrior Season 11 Atlanta Qualifiers in approximately 20 minutes or less, starting now. So I'm recording this episode the same night the episode aired. It is still Wednesday night. Getting started a little bit later than I wanted to, but like this week I have to do it right away because I don't got time. I don't have time to do it later in the week unless it's going to be basically the review is going to would just end up going up Tuesday, the earliest otherwise. And I don't want to keep you guys waiting, so I'm going to film and edit on Wednesday and then do the rest of what I have to do on Thursday. And hopefully you watch this on Friday. But let's talk about the episode itself because it was weird. It's like, I feel like there was a good episode in this show, but the editing really didn't help things. So, there was a lot of promotion for The Secret Life of Pets in this episode. Like, a lot of promotion. There was multiple segments where they would cut to a dog warped wall for dogs. And they would show dogs attempting the warped wall. And some would make it up and some wouldn't. One dog had the fastest time of the night. I mean, it was one obstacle. Like, how can you really have a fastest time? The obstacle, the dog that went up the warped wall the back way up the steps was funny. But they also had the characters from Secret Life of Pets. Like they had Snowball on the top of the warped wall. And they had some of the other characters, like during one of the fast forward segments, they had the characters reacting to the falls and stuff like that. So I feel like that took up a lot of time, and in regards to some of the fast forwards, I feel like the editing could have been better if that stuff wasn't in there. And then I'm just going to cut right to the end. At the end, they had this new thing called Akbar Bajabia Moments, which was Akbar counting down his top 3 ridiculous moments that you didn't see on camera. On one hand, it was kind of cool to see moments, see some bonus moments, like the lights going out during the Ferris wheel. But first off, the way that this was edited, with like the graphic and Akbar's face and all that doing this sort of stuff, I immediately start thinking of Kenny Blankenship's most painful eliminations of the day from MXC, Most Extreme Elimination Challenge. And I feel like that's where they took inspiration from. My biggest issue is that during that time, they showed the leaderboard, but it was like all the way on the edge of the screen. It would have been this edge. Would have been right here. They just had the list in black and white, and they showed the top 30 and top 5 women, but like, with the exceptions of the people who cleared, they didn't specify anything else. They didn't specify which obstacles they failed on, or if how fast they got to that obstacle. They only specified times for the people who cleared, and I think I don't like that. I like for A&W, the results are very important, and especially when, like, earlier on in the episode, they're like, oh, it might be good enough to move on to the next round. I feel like to make the leaderboard so easy to miss, I feel like it really takes away from like the celebration that might happen when someone clears or makes it to the next round, I should say. They're like, yay, because I didn't like it. It's so easy to miss. It's hard to read. And I feel like people should get at least a little bit of recognition for moving on to the next round. One thing I want to mention is that before the episode aired, they showed the run of Casey Suhaki. He hurt his knee during the course, even though he's still cleared. So they put him on the leaderboard, but I don't know if he ran the finals course. I wanna say he probably didn't, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that. Let's talk about the actual course, though. 5 minutes in now. Shrinking steps, of course. Second obstacle is a new obstacle called Off the Hook. Don't get cooked. It's kind of like a new version of the ring swing, but like not a bad version, you know, because I never liked the ring swing. But basically, you got two swinging hooks. On one hook is a ring that you're holding on to, and it's basically a combination of the ring jump and like a spiritual successor of the ring swing. I realized the giant ring swing had a bit of that in and of itself. But basically, you do a swing, you jump, and you grab onto the second hook, and then you jump to the platform. There was a few times where I legitimately got worried that someone might like hit their body into the hook. Maybe that was just like an optical illusion with the camera work. But I got nervous a few times, but I like the obstacle. It actually, so this is one of the things with the editing, is that obstacle is actually much more difficult than the show made it seem. If I remember correctly, they only showed 2 people failing off the hook in the actual episode. But when you go to A&W Nation, you look at the full results, that obstacle actually took out more people than anyone else in this episode. But, it took out 26 out of 98. It's not good. I wish we got to see more just to kind of get an idea of how difficult the obstacle actually is. Like, I have no problem if, like, for fast forwards, if you just want to do a fast forward of just a bunch of no-name competitors failing an obstacle, I think that'd be fine, personally. I got no problem with that. Also, one thing I noticed compared from LA to this one is that the rope for the shrinking steps now has a ball on it. There wasn't a ball in LA. When I was in Baltimore, I noticed that there was a ball on the rope, and it was in this region, so it makes it harder for you to slip down the rope. I'm going to guess that is because of rain, or fear of rain, rather. To kind of compensate for rain, because a lot of people fail the shrinking steps in LA, and I imagine part of that is just because the rope is slippery and they slid down it. That's my guess. Anyway, obstacle 3 was the return of block run. I like block run, so I'm fine with it. Obstacle 4 was the bouncing spider, which I don't like the bouncing spider. I think it's one of those lame hodgepodge obstacles, which has a giant trampoline in it. I've never been a fan of it. I was more forgiving of it this time around. One thing I noticed is that, unlike in the past years that it's been around, they didn't have a rule that stated you had to stay above a line. There was still a line there, but it was like part of a graphic, not graphic, decal design, decoration for the boards. But I counted at least 2 people, could have been more, who were like below the line when they dismounted, and I'm fine with that, getting rid of that stupid rule, because I'm of the belief that you should build obstacles for how they should be made. One rule we did learn is that the first woman who competed, Mindy Hilton, she went from the trampoline to the barrels, but then back to the trampoline and got DQ'd, and I'm like, oh, no, come on. Let her try to bounce back. That's not cool. I don't like that. I guess they want to do the one fluid motion. They don't want people like stopping on the trampoline and then trying to get a bounce, because I'm guessing maybe it's easier, but I'm not a fan of that. Also, okay, before I continue, I just want to point out Mindy Hilton, her profile was weird, because it was like, I have cancer. Well, no, I survived cancer, but then my husband filed for a divorce and I was devastated. And I'm not trying to like downplay divorce, but it was just so weird how they downplayed the cancer. I believe she said cervical cancer, but like made divorce seem like a much worse thing. You know, like I get it, divorce is bad, but like cancer sounds worse. It was so bizarre, such a weird profile. Anyway, obstacle 5 was the Ferris wheel. I'm of mixed opinions of this. So it's 2 wheels that spin, and they'll lock into place. And there's 2 options. You can either go high, and when you get to a certain point, it'll drop you, or you can go low, which will cause you to spin the wheel as you go, and it actually ends up being more moves. And then you have to figure out how high it is to transfer, and it's kind of weird because there's a lot of stuff in it that I like, in that, like, I get it. It doesn't, the more I think about it, it doesn't feel as arbitrary as you would necessarily think, because it's like the nature of how the obstacle works. It's like you kind of have to get it to get into that locking position or to like reasonably dismount it. I wasn't crazy about the holds on the actual Ferris wheel. There was just something, they were cliffhanger-esque. They weren't, pure cliffhanger, but I don't know, just with the swinging hammers, I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it. I just wasn't feeling the obstacle. Maybe if it was something else for the holds, I don't know what exactly, but I feel like it needed something different, and I don't know what. And then finally was the warped walls, both of them. One other thing that I didn't mention in LA about the 2 warped walls is that I am fairly certain that the run-up for the warped walls have been shortened from last season. Maybe I'm crazy, I'm fairly certain that was the case. So anyway, talking more about the runs. Glenn Davis from Ninja Quest, the owner of Ninja Quest. I've been to Ninja Quest. It is a great gym. It's a big gym. It's a big open. Like you can understand why it hosted the NNL Season 3 finals. It's such a big gym. He's, they said 56. He did well. He made it to the Ferris wheel. He moved on. I'm glad that, this is kind of like what I was saying before about like my issues with like the actual editing of the leaderboard, is that my first watch through of that leaderboard, I miss Glenn Davis because it felt so much smaller and kind of I was distracted by the cameraman getting soaked, that like I just missed it. And I feel like because when he failed, they were like, oh, it might be far enough, fast enough to move on. I feel like in the old way they presented the leaderboard, it would have been more like, hey, he made it. But there was a lot of like fluff between the power tower, the promoted power tower, the secret lives of pets. It felt like they were intentionally choosing runs that were shorter to in order to get the same amount of runs they got last episode. Because like there were some runs that I was shocked got fast forwarded. So first off, one person who didn't get fast forward was Caleb Bergstrom. Now him and his sister Caitlin got a joint profile. They're part of the Bergstrom bunch, and when they did the Brady Bunch parody, I audibly groaned. But like Danny Bergstrom was their brother who ran last year. They made it sound like he's not running again this year, which is kind of weird. Caleb, I'm pretty sure Caleb did really well in the NNL this year. I want to say that's who I'm thinking of. He ended up getting $5,000 on the Mega Wall, which, he's 19. Great job. Good for him. But his sister got fast forward, which is kind of weird. And what's also weird in terms of fast forward is that in the beginning of the episode, Akbar was like, all right, here's some ninjas you got to look out for. You got Drew Dreschel, which was last year's last ninja standing. You got the returning Travis Rosen, who's coming back from injury, going to make a huge comeback. And then you got Tyrone Poole, from former Super Bowl champion for the New England Patriots. And then Tyrone gets fast forwarded. I'm like, what? What's going on? He ends up failing the Ferris wheel, which is actually good enough to move on to the next round. So good for him. But I'm like, what? What? You fast forward him after doing all that, and then like they had in a similar vein, they had Michael Johnson and Eddie Stewart together. Doing a profile together as Fire and Ice, which I'm pretty sure was the name of a WCW tag team at one point, and you know, because Eddie's a fireman and Michael Johnson's got ice in his veins. They do the left right double together. See, I could do it myself. It's really not that hard. Look at my super muscular pectorals. That's what these are. They're not fat. They're super muscular. No, I love the left right double stuff. It's so goofy. It's great. But like they showed Michael Johnson's run. He fails block run, unfortunately. His feet dipped in the water when he was trying to not fall in the pit. But then they fast forward Eddie Stewart, and oddly enough, he failed the warped wall, like the normal warped wall. That was surprising. I guess it's kind of nice to see that people can still fail the warped wall. But yeah, they fast forward him. And then, oh yeah, by the way, they fast forwarded 2 Mega Wall $10,000 clears in both Ryan Stratus and Kevin Carbone. And I'm like, what the hell? Literally, like at that, I'm just like, the first one with Ryan Stratus, I was just like, why would you fast forward that? And then with the Kevin Carbone one, I just threw my hands up in the air. I'm just like, screw it. I'm just like, oh my God. I couldn't believe they did that. And there was a lot of like, I guess to be fair to them, there was a lot of like names in this region. You know, they couldn't do everyone, you know, like, you have, Neil Craver, who failed the Mega Wall. You had Charity LeBlanc, who they like to talk about, who failed third obstacle, Bouncing Spider. Wait, down, no, not Bouncing Spider. Wait a minute. Block Run? I thought she failed Bouncing Spider, but I wrote Block Run. Anyway, I don't care. I don't care enough to double check that. Emily Durham had an unfortunately funny fail on the Bouncing Spider, in that she made it to the top of the wall and then she fell backwards into the pool. I can laugh at it because she still moved on, so good for her. RJ Roman, I'm so glad to see RJ do well. He's a nice guy. Met him at the NNL. He knew who I was. Very nice and complimentary about it. Hey, good job, Roman. He was great. Seeing him go as fast. He had that type of run where it's like, it wasn't super smooth. It was a little messy at times, but it was entertaining as all hell. I loved it. I loved it because it was kind of messy, and it was like, I like because of what the Power Tower represents. I like that aspect of like people actually trying to go fast, and I'm just like, yes, that's great. What was it? They Rue Yori, K9 Ninja, has a foundation helping adoptions. He cleared for the first time in, I want to say 3 years. Or 2 years? 3 years. And they said that Secret Life of Pets is donating $20,000 to his charity, which, it's great. Like, at least some good came out of this sponsorship deal. And Travis Rosen came back. They made they had a whole big profile about his injury, about the difficulties of recovering, how he felt at times, how bad he felt at times. And how his family actually didn't want him to go back and compete, but I'm glad he did. He really looked happy, and he cleared, and I was really happy for him. That, honestly, I think that might have been my favorite moment of the entire episode. And it's like, yeah, he didn't get, the top time, but like, who cares? He's moving on. He came back from a big injury that could have ended his Ninja Warrior career, and Travis has always been one of the good guys. I've met him. I've met him twice now. It's been a few years, unfortunately, but it is what it is. And he's the nicest guy. He is just the nicest guy. I cannot overstate that enough. I'm so happy to see him move on. Just a couple of random notes. Apparently Devin Harrison fractured his skull at some point. So weird, because like that got fast forwarded. I'm just like, whoa, hold on, wait a minute. I feel like I needed this to be like expanded on. I hope they expanded on the finals. Like what? Chad Horn. It's the second time now he busted his head open on an obstacle. This time on the bouncing spider. A few years ago, it was the rolling log. But he's still cleared. Good for him. But what the heck, dude? Wear a helmet, please. Wear a helmet. I'm begging you. I just want to check. There was a poker player named Tony Miles who bet $5K and was given 25-1 odds that if he would win the run, he cleared a course, I should say. He, in fact, did not. He failed block run. So he's not moving. Oh, God. Sorry. He's not even moving on. Tim Sagerson. He had a cool. If you seen him you might have seen on Instagram his paper craft stuff. The paper cut ninja doing some cool stuff. His knee hit the platform on the beginning of Off the Hook, the starting platform, and he ended up failing the transfer on an obstacle. Jessica Clayton, I'm glad to see her do well. She made it to the warped wall, but unfortunately, she just couldn't get up, and this is where I really noticed that shorter run up was during that run. Tyler Gillette was the second to last run, full run. He ended up clearing with 1:07, super fast time. Really, I like that. I like the enthusiasm that he showed to get through that. And Akbar, I don't mention Akbarisms very much, but Akbar had the perfect line. He said, Tyler Gillette, the best a ninja can get. That's a money line right there. I give props to Akbar for that one. That was fire. Good job. And then the last run was Drew Dreschel, and basically the profile he was talking about, Mega Wall versus Power Tower. Typically you got to choose one or the other. And going into this with the editing, I knew he was getting both. I knew he was at least getting the Mega Warped Wall because they had fast forwarded 2 Mega Warped Walls who were $10,000 winners. The only Mega Warped Wall win that they showed was for $5,000, and so I knew Drew was going to get the 10K. I knew that because just of the editing. And yeah, turns out he got 10K and the second fastest time. And I gotta give him credit. He was going fast, and he did the Mega Warped Wall so fast. They barely even had time to light up the light up the wall to signify that's what he chose, because he went for time and money. He got both. And he moved on to the Power Tower. So it was number 1, Tyler Gillette versus number 2, Drew Dressel. They were pretty even up until the balance portion of the obstacle. And in true Konoichi fashion, Tyler Gillette lost his balance and fell off the obstacle. Now, according to the rules, you are allowed to try to climb up and continue. But Drew made his way across the obstacle easily, had a huge lead. There was, outside of Drew failing the big lache, which was highly doubtful given it's Drew, there was no chance for Tyler to catch up. Easy win for Drew Dreschel. Drew Dreschel, the man who won it all this episode. He got the money, he got the Power Tower, and he got the Speed Pass. You cannot ask for a better result than what Drew got outside of getting first place, because I'm pretty sure they're still doing top 3 times gets money. I'm pretty sure they're still doing that. I could be wrong, but I would be kind of annoyed if they weren't still doing that. So I guess he could have got a little bit more money if he got first place. But he basically got to have his cake and eat it too. He got the $10,000 Mega Wall and he got the Speed Pass. So you really just can't complain in that situation. And so let's just go through some of the final results. I'm already way over time, but I guess that's what happens when I'm complaining about the editing for too long. So we had 98 competitors compete this time around. The actual results in terms of what was shown on screen, kind of disappointing. There was 15 runs shown in full by my count, 22 fast forwards, and only 9 clears were shown. Keep that in mind. By my count on the actual episode. Let's you could say 10 if you count the Casey Suhaki bonus run online. But breaking down the obstacles, we had 7 fails on the shrinking steps, 26 fails on off the hook, 15 fails on block run, 18 fails on the bouncing spider, 11 fails on the Ferris wheel, 2 fails at the warped wall, 2 fails at the mega wall, and a total of 17 clears. That is a grand total of 17 clears. And of those 17 clears, 4 of them were Mega Wall completions. 3 $10,000, 1 $5,000 Mega Wall. And so let's go through the top 30. Like I said, 17 clears. Unfortunately, only 9 were shown. But from 1st to 17th, we have Tyler Gillette, Drew Dreschel, who won the Speed Pass and is going to Vegas. RJ Roman, Caleb Bergstrom, who won the Mega Wall 5,000, and yes, Drew also won the 10,000 Mega Warped Wall. 5th place, Jody Freeman, Kevin Carbone, who won the 10,000 Mega Warped Wall. Travis Rosen, Kenny Nimatello, Brett Sims, Jordan Hatton, Kason Suhaki, Josiah Singleton, Chris Howard, Ryan Stratus, who won the $10,000 Mega Warped Wall. By the way, Ryan Stratus, currently the first and as of right now, only man to get 2 Mega Warped Walls, and both of them being 10,000. I think he deserved another run, a full run shown. That's just me, but whatever. Rue Yori, Chad Horn, and oh my God, Rokamambu Dulcine. I apologize for probably messing that up. And then we had 4 people who failed either the Mega Warped Wall or the regular Warped Wall in John DeLulio, Neil Craver, Eddie Stewart, and Jessica Clayton. And then the remaining 9 people of the top 30 all failed the Ferris wheel in Travis Rust, Hillary Rebeckovitz, Ronald Washington, Caleb Aurora, Lucas Gomez. I was really wish that they showed us run, but I'm glad to see he moved on, so hopefully we'll see him in the finals. Ben Wilson, Glenn Davis, Tyrone Poole, and Devin Harrelson. And the 4 women to round out the top 5 women list was Alyssa Barcelona, who failed the Ferris wheel, and Emily Durham, Caitlin Bergstrom, and Grace Sims, who all failed the bouncing spider. I'm going to end that right there. And those are all my thoughts on the Atlanta qualifier round. A bit disappointing, in all honesty, in terms of editing. Like I said, I feel like there could have been a good episode in here, but the editing with all the sponsorships and who got fast forwarded, it killed my enthusiasm for the episode overall. Also, having both Tyler and Drew at the end of the episode, not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of both of the 2 fastest times being at the end. I feel like you gotta space them out better. So that's it. That's everything that I want to say. What did you think? Let me know. Vote in the poll that was already up here. You can click on it right now and go vote. And if you haven't, please subscribe if you're new. I talk about American Ninja Warrior. We talk about American Ninja Warrior all year. I'll see you next week for another episodic review. But until then, thanks you all for watching. I'll see you later.